Hello, I'm Joanne DePassolsovsky, Executive Vice President and CIO of Salesforce. I am super excited to be here with you all today, and I'm honored to be joined for a fireside conversation by the one, the only, Megan Rapinoe. Megan, hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm excited.
We are so glad to have you with us today. A two-times World Cup champion, Olympic gold medalist, New York Times bestselling author, accomplished businesswoman, activist, and co-founder of the lifestyle brand Read Inc. Wow. As someone who played soccer growing up, I can confidently say I've been looking forward to our conversation. So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
Can you talk a little bit about how you prepare, what your approach to training, both physically and mentally, and how has it evolved throughout your career as an athlete?
For me, it's not always about working more. It's about working smarter and using all of the technology and data and new science available to us athletes, especially female athletes, as we're starting to see, emerging studies and studies actually being done on women and not just done on men and then applied to women. Well, I was at that point in my career where I needed to start thinking about the game more, not just feeling it or not just relying on talent or going out there and being better than other players, really understanding the game and kind of starting to pick apart the game within the game is really what I feel like kind of pushed me to the next level.
Let's talk a little bit about adversity and setbacks. Can you tell us about your perspective when you were going through these very tough career moments?
People see us in our greatest moments. They see us, on TV and winning the game. Every day is a massive failure for us over and over and over and over again, whether that's in training or, we're training on our own or in practice with the team. That's all we do is fail over and over and over again to get ourselves prepared and to learn from those moments, learn what doesn't work, learn how to do something differently, pick up a different skill so that when we do go on the field, and there's plenty of failures on the field as well, but when we get in those big moments, we're prepared for that adversity. Things aren't going to go your way for 15, 20 minutes during the game, or you have a goal called back, or you get a foul, whatever it may be. But ultimately being able to kind of drive through that and persevere through that, take the little wins and understand that it's more of a marathon at all times than what's actually just happening in that one particular moment. Being able to bring that on board, learn from it, and then sort of immediately push it to the side so you can move forward.
Megan, that's great. This really translates into the tenacity and resilience that we have to have as IT leaders in the workplace. Because we have moments of adversity, just like you mentioned. And when we're down and things don't always go our way, but we have to stay motivated and keep the team pumped up and ourselves pumped up as well. We got to bounce back from it. I lead an IT team of about 3,000 and training the ability for new muscles to evolve, keep pace with the changing demands of the business. It's so important. Can you talk a little bit about cohesion, diversity of talent, playing to each position's strength, each person's strengths? What are your thoughts?
I sort of learned this on the national team as a younger player. It's hard not to compare yourself to people. You're, obviously around the best players in the world, and every single one of my teammates is better at something than I am. And that's something like I'll never be better than them at the thing that they're best at. But also, like, no one can do what I can do. And I think when you allow people to express themselves on and off the field, you allow them to fully realize their potential as an individual, and they feel respected and they feel seen and they feel valued, then it's easier to bring everyone in and say, okay, this is what the team needs today. And this is what the team needs from you individually. And this is what the team needs from you individually for us all to be better.
What are some of the characteristics that separate good leaders from great leaders? And how can our audience take back those insights to their own organizations and teams and apply it to their day-to-day work? What's your thoughts?
I feel like my job as a leader and one of the older players on the team, along with others, is to empower people, really. I don't have all the answers. Like, yes, I have a lot of experience and I've played in the biggest games. And so I can share that experience and I can, help to maybe calm nerves or, be a part of a collective group of older players who can share our experience with younger players. But ultimately, we need everyone to be confident and to feel confident and to feel empowered, really. I think that's the main part of how I look at leadership is how do I empower people to be themselves, to trust in themselves and therefore trust in the team if everyone is on the same page, and to really allow people to express themselves.
How do you find yourself in the position to be compelled to not just challenge the status quo, but to do it so effectively to drive a better outcome? I'm thinking especially about women's rights, equal pay, diversity, equality for all, values that we share in common with you as Salesforce and MuleSoft employees.
I think honestly it was born out of necessity because the status quo was not designed for someone like me. It wasn't designed for our entire women's national team. It wasn't designed for female athletes. It wasn't designed for women or for gay people or for people of color or indigenous people, black people, nothing. So I think for me, it was like, well, I don't fit into this box anyways. So I'm certainly not going to try to, contortion myself into a very narrow view of what I'm allowed to be or what all my colleagues and teammates are allowed to be. So in a big way, it's just out of necessity. And then I think, a real sort of long and steady education process of understanding, first with equal pay, understanding, okay, what does this mean? What's the pay gap? How is this affecting me? How is this affecting me specifically in soccer? And then, coming out in 2012 prior to the Olympics, living in a country that at the time didn't allow me to marry someone that I loved. This was 2012, so it was 3 years before the landmark case in the Supreme Court. So just starting to understand that, and then really, I think with the racial justice piece in 2014, coming off the tragic murder of Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown and the subsequent protests in Ferguson after that, understanding the intersectionality of all of that and how all of these things are really connected. And we're seeing that now, whether it's, AAPI, discrimination or homophobia or transphobia or Black Lives Matter. It's all sort of part of the system. Going back to what I was saying, it didn't really include us from the beginning. So I think my desire and my motivation for challenging that is to create a world that does include me. And if I can be one of the architects of that or one of the mouthpieces of that, for so many other people who don't have the ability to be in front of the media every day.
Megan, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. We wish you the best of the best, both on and off the field and in your business endeavors. We also look forward to watching you in the upcoming Summer Olympics in Tokyo. We'll be cheering you on and your teammates. Thank you so very much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.